Hey, what's up guys? DarkArmedDuelist Integrity doing a hero deck profile. So I'm really excited for you guys because this deck had some major changes on the list, with a Hero Lives going to 2 and Fusion Destiny going to 2. I have some amazing techs in this deck to help out with that Fusion Destiny going to 2, and getting a Hero Lives back to 2 in this deck is absolutely crazy. It helps out the deck with a lot of consistency. So without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell in there so you can come part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards, like getting your name scripture in a single video, getting assigned cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month to your patron, along with test hands. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Elemental Hero Stratos. This card is a great card in this deck because it has the ability that when this card is normal or special summon, you can add a hero monster from your deck to your hand, which helps out the deck a lot to be able to get the exact one that you need when you need it. We then play 2 copies of Elemental Hero Shadow Mist. Shadow Mist has the ability, if it's special summon, you get to add a change quick play spell from your deck to your hand, which is always going to be your mass change, so you can go into your masked heroes. And if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can add a hero monster from your deck to your hand. This card is great to be able to discard off your Vision Hero Pharaohs or send to the graveyard off of any card effects to be able to get that search. And it is a super good card at 2 in the deck. We then play a single copy of Liquid Soldier. Liquid Soldier has the ability that when this card is normal summon, you can target a level 4 or lower hero monster in the graveyard, except another copy of itself, and special summon it. And if this card is used as a fusion material for a hero monster and is sent to your graveyard or banished, then you can draw 2 and discard a card. This card is great in the deck, and I have considered actually bumping it up to 2 just like Shadow Mist, but I feel like 1 is totally fine for now. We then play a single copy of Elemental Hero Honest Neos, which kind of works like Nia, or kind of like Honest in this deck, because it has the ability that when you discard this card, you can make a hero monster go up by 2500 attack, which is a really awesome thing for this deck to be able to do, to have a hand trap in the deck that is searchable, that can boost your heroes up so you can go in for game. We then play 2 copies of Destiny Hero Malicious. This card is a great 2 because it has the ability that you can banish it from the graveyard to be able to special summon another copy of it from the deck, and you kind of play 3 of it in this build because you have a single copy of Destiny Hero Denier that makes up for the 3rd one. It has the ability that if this card is normal or special summon, you can take a Destiny Hero monster from your deck or graveyard, or that's banished, and place it on top of the deck, which is a great effect to be able to place the banished Malicious back on top of the deck, so you can banish the one from the graveyard to get the one off the top of the deck onto the field to extend your plays. This card also has a great effect that if it's in the graveyard and you have another Destiny Hero monster on your side of the field except a Destiny Hero Denier, you can special summon this card from the graveyard, which will activate its first effect to put that Destiny Hero on top of the deck. But you can only use the effect of this card once per duel of special summoning itself from the graveyard. We then play a single copy of Destiny Hero Plasma. This card is an awesome card to summon to your side of the field because it has a great effect to be able to tribute 3 monsters on your side of the field to special summon this card, and it has the ability that it can once per turn target a monster your opponent controls and equip it to this card, and it gains half of the attack of the monster, which is really awesome on a 1900 attack point monster. And the best part about this card is when it's on your side of the field, it negates all monster effects on your opponent's side of the field. I really love that effect. We then play 3 copies of Vision Hero Pharaohs. Vision Hero Pharaohs is a great card for this deck because it has the ability to discard 1 other hero monster, special summon this card to your side of the field, and if this card is normal or special summon, you get to place a Vision Hero monster in your spell and trap card zone as a continuous trap from the deck, which is always going to be your copies of your Vision Hero Increase. Vision Hero Increase is a great card because you can then tribute the copy of your Vision Hero Pharaohs while this card is in your spell and trap card zone as a continuous trap to be able to special summon this card to your side of the field, and then you get to special summon a Vision Hero monster from the deck, which is always going to be your copies of your Vision Hero Vion, which I have changed from 3 to 2 in this build because of some of the tech cards that I'm playing. But this card has the ability, if this card is normal or special summon, you get to send a hero monster from your deck to the graveyard. And then also has the ability you can once per turn banish 1 hero monster from your graveyard to add a polymerization from your deck to your hand. This card is great in the deck because you can send cards like your copy of your Destiny Hero Denier to the graveyard to use with Malicious, your copy of Malicious to be able to extend your plays, or even the Shadow Mist to get any hero you need from your deck to your hand when it's sent to the graveyard. We then play a single copy of Evil Hero Adusted Gold because you can discard this card from your hand to be able to search your copy of Dark Calling, so we we can go into my favorite hero monster, Evil Hero Malicious Bane. We then play 3 copies of Ash Blossom, because the 3 Ash Blossom just basically stop the opponent from touching the deck. This card is really good in this deck to basically let your plays go through so your opponent doesn't make an insane board. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to be playing a single copy of Reinforcements of the Army. This card will literally search just about every single hero monster in the deck, except for your level 5 or higher ones, or a Dusted Gold, because Evil Hero Dusted Gold is actually a Fiend monster, so keep that in mind as you're playing this deck. We then play a single copy of Called by the Grave, just to be able to stop our opponent from hand-trapping us, because we have so much searching in this deck. 1 copy of Harpy's Feather Duster, because with 3 skill drains running around, you're going to need a Harpy's Feather Duster. We then play a single copy of Polymerization. Polymerization is really good because you can search this card off of your copy of Vision Hero Vion, and it's super consistent to be able to search this card, because basically you just have the Vision Hero Vion on the field, banish your copy of Shadow Mist that you sent to the graveyard off the Vision Hero Vion, and then you get to add Poly to hand, as well as also getting to add a hero from your deck to your hand off the Shadow Mist effect. We then play a single copy of Miracle Fusion. Miracle Fusion is great because you can banish 2 hero monsters from the graveyard to special summon a Elemental Hero Fusion monster from your extra deck that meets its summoning requirements. So this card is a great card, just be able to Polymerization from the graveyard. We then play a single copy of Dark Calling. Dark Calling is really good in this deck because it helps us go into our copy of our Malicious Bane, which is a awesome boss monster in this deck. I really love going into that copy of Malicious Bane with this card because basically it's searchable off of Dusted Gold, and the Dusted Gold even sets up the Dark Calling because you can actually banish from your hand or graveyard the materials to summon out that copy of your Malicious Bane, which your copy of a Dusted Gold is one of the requirements. We then play 2 copies of A Hero Lives. This is so great that this card is back at 2. It helps out the deck a lot because if you control no face-up monsters, you can pay half your life points to special summon a hero level 4 or lower elemental hero from the deck, which is usually going to be your copy of Stratos. Sometimes it'll be Shadow Mist, so you can get to your mass change, but usually it's going to be Stratos to get that search and start your plays really, really rolling in this deck. We then play 2 copies of Fusion Destiny, which I really like this card in this deck. It's, you know, we still have 2 copies of it, so it's still really good, and it helps us go into a copy of Destiny Hero Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer. But this card basically sends a Destiny Hero, you basically send the materials to summon a Destiny Hero Fusion monster from your deck to the graveyard to summon that monster, but you for the rest of the term cannot special summon monsters except for hero monsters, which is fine because the majority of the cards in this deck that we're playing is actually heroes. We then play 3 copies of Mass Change. Mass Change is here so we can go into our masked heroes, which is super, super helpful for this deck. And then we play 3 copies of my personal deck, and that is Super Polymerization. Super Polymerization is an insanely powerful card in this deck because a lot of players are going to be playing around with Destiny Hero Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer still with Anaconda, and you can use this card to actually out your opponent's Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer while also going into your own Destiny Hero Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer, which is super, super helpful to be able to do. And I have a bunch of different monsters in the extract that make it super easy to use Super Polymerization in this deck. And it's a super great card to basically out your opponent's board so you can go in for games. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps. I actually play some traps in this deck. So for the traps, we're just going to be playing 3 traps in this deck, and it's going to be 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. Infinite Impermanence is here basically to be able to stop your opponent's monster effects, which is super important in this deck for your opponent to be able to like just stop those effects, especially with your copies of Ash Blossom in this deck. I think 6 is the perfect number for the hand traps that you need, along with the Super Polymerization. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to be playing a single copy of Destiny Hero Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer. This card is a crazy powerful card that has the ability that monsters your opponent control lose 200 attack for each hero card in your graveyard, and you can only use each of the following effects of this card once per turn. You can once per turn quick effect destroy both one card you control and one card your opponent controls, which you're always going to destroy your own Destiny Hero Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer because you can activate this effect to special summon it back during your next standby phase, which is really crazy to just immediately bring this card back, and every single turn on your opponent's turn, and your turn, you're just going to be popping a card on the field. This card is crazy powerful, and it makes it really crazy, especially with this deck OTKing as easy as it does, to make your opponent lose attack points depending on the amount of cards you have in the graveyard that are heroes, which is just really, really good. We then play a single copy of Destiny or Dystopia. Dystopia is just here because it helps out sometimes to go into this card as a one-of in the deck. We play a single copy of Destiny Hero Dangerous. This card's really good because it's a foolish burial, because you discard, you quick effect discard a card, and then send a hero monster from your hand or deck to the graveyard that's a Destiny hero, which can be your copy of Malicious. So this card is very easy to go into in this deck. One copy of Sunriser. This card searches Miracle Fusion and is a great card to summon in this deck because it will search out that copy of Miracle Fusion. One copy of Absolute Zero. This card is a super poly target because it takes any hero monster plus a water monster. So this card is very easy to summon to your side of the field. And it has the ability that if this card leaves the field, you destroy all monsters your opponent controls, which is a great card effect to be able to just board wipe their monsters. One copy of Elemental Hero The Shining. The Shining is here because it's a great super poly target to actually summon in this deck, and it must be fusion summoned and cannot be special by other ways. And this card gains 300 attack for each of your banished hero monsters. And when this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you can target 2 of your banished elemental hero monsters and add those targets to your hand, which does come up every so often with your Vion banishing your copy of Shadow Mist. We then play a single copy of Elemental Hero Exterdao. Exterdao is kind of neat in this deck because basically with these 3 cards and the copy of Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer, you have a couple of different super poly targets, and the effect of your Exterdao to be able to gain 100 attack for each elemental hero monster in the graveyard is really, really big because you're going to be able to get this card up to some crazy amounts. We then play a single copy of Evil Hero Malicious Bane. This card is insanely good. I love this card. It has the ability that it must be special summoned with your copy of Dark Fusion. It can be destroyed by battle, it can be destroyed by card effects, and then during the main phase you can destroy all monsters your opponent controls with attack less than this card's, which comes up a lot when you have your Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer on the field to help you go in for a game. But for the rest of the turn you can't attack with anything but heroes, which is not that big of a deal in this deck because everything we're playing just about is heroes. We then play 2 copies of Dark Law, which is basically walking Macrocosmos, and if your opponent does decide to search the deck while this card's on the field, it randomly banishes a card from their hand. We play a single copy of Masked Hero Acid because you're going to go into this card with your copy of Mass Change using your copy of your Elemental Hero Absolute Zero to be able to destroy all of their spells and traps and all of their monsters, which is just crazy good. One copy of Starving Venom Fusion Dragon. I'm playing this for a super poly target in this deck. I have really enjoyed playtesting this card in the deck and it's helped me out a lot, especially when my opponent does decide to summon Dragoons or summons out a copy of Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer. I can just super poly into this if they leave the Anaconda on the field, which with 2 copies of Fusion Destiny running around, I'm seeing a lot more of. So this card is a great card in this deck. Play a single copy of Extra Hero Dread Decimator. Dread Decimator has a really neat effect that it can do piercing damage, and if this card is on your side of the field, then every monster that it points to gains 100 attack for each hero monster with different names in your graveyard. So this card is a really good card to be able to boost your monsters up. We then play 2 copies of Extra Hero Cross Crusader for the last 2 monsters in the extract. This card's really good because if this card is link summoned, you get to target a Destiny Hero monster in the graveyard, which is usually going to be your copy of Destiny Hero Malicious. Special summon it back to your field, and then you contribute a Destiny Hero monster to add a hero monster with a different name from your deck to your hand, which is very good for this deck to have an additional searcher. This deck has so many searchers and it's insane. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. It's a super fun deck to play around with. I did consider actually playing Masked Hero Blast or Divine Wind in the extra deck, but I ended up just going with the Starving Venom over it. But it's a really fun deck to play with, and I highly recommend that if you guys have never played Heroes, you definitely should. It is an insane combo deck that can go into some crazy plays. So anyways, guys, this is DarkArmedDuelist. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can come part of the notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next videos. See you later, guys.